articulate that to you, but it doesn't mean that they don't care, you know, because it might be a family member, it might be a friend, it might be a significant other if you have one, you know. And if you are able to not only provide that information and value to their existence, if you're able to do that, it actually helps you as well, because you become more fully realized. You know, don't give up. If you're going through a nihilistic phase, if you're going through a red pill rage or whatever the case may be, then go through it. But once you've exercised that nihilism from your existence, from your very being, from your soul, from whatever energy breathes life into your body, then at that point, you're able to move on. Because once you know what it feels like, you can move forward. Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy NeoStarling, and I am back here with another podcast. Happy 2020 to every single one of you. I hope that this year is bringing you precisely what you would like, or at the very least working towards what you would like to have, because at the end of the day, who doesn't want to have what they want, right? So that's really great, and I hope that everybody's doing well. I am here actually with a request. Yes, you are not hearing this incorrectly. I actually got a second request, and I felt the need to respond to this via a video because, once more, outside of wanting to create additional content, I also want to be able to help the people that view my content in a way that I feel is best, in the sense that I can actually interact with these people in real life. Because fortunately, we live in a day and age where we are able to do this. We have the technology, we have the ability, we have the voices. So if we can help, why wouldn't that be something that we want to do? So I'm going to read this viewer's request, and afterwards I'm going to try to give advice the best way that I can. Now, granted, I will state once more that I am not a professional in any way, shape, or form. If you need any sort of counseling or any sort of therapy in which you feel that professional help would be a better option for you, please seek that instead, because once more, all I can merely do is offer my perspective on what's happening. And that's pretty much it, because I'm essentially speaking from my own lived experiences. And although I have had people that I have given advice to in the past, again, once more, when it's a situation like what we have here with this particular request, it's something that you want to speak to with other people, you know, friends and family, or again, once more, a professional, somebody that can actually break it down on a more psychological level and try to get down to what's actually happening to you. So with that said, I'm going to read this request and I will be giving my advice going forward. So the letter states, "Hello, Neo. So I've been going through a bit of a crisis of not knowing where I belong. I often feel that while I am inherently a good person, nothing I seem to do matters. I don't mean to sound nihilistic, but I just don't know what to do anymore. Though it may seem vague, I do not wish to share too many details about my life. I guess what I'm asking is, how do I become a better version of myself? Or how do I find meaning in an existence that doesn't seem to hold a place for me? I want to improve, but I just don't know how. I love your content and any advice would be great. Hopefully you aren't too busy to help out. Thanks, blank." Now, once more, I'm not going to share the name of this individual because I want to protect their identity. And thank you for reaching out. I really do appreciate that, because at the end of the day, you know, that's kind of what we want to do here in this community, in this particular podcast. We want to all share ideas and we all want to be able to help each other out, because we sort of function as like pseudo fathers, you know what I mean, in this internet community where we tend to listen to all these videos. And it's something that I think is very important, because I feel like if you have the knowledge to share, it's something that you should do. Before I get to this request, that actually kind of reminds me of Faust. So when Faust had made a deal with Mephistopheles, which was essentially the devil and God were both fighting over this individual soul to see who would get it. And towards the end of Faust's life, when he reached about 100 and he ended up dying, he essentially figured out what would actually make him happy. And what would actually make him happy was being able to utilize the knowledge that he had in order to help better humanity. But he realized it after his death, or slightly prior to his death, rather. So I think that's actually really interesting. So, how do you find value in your existence? Things of that nature. So this is actually pretty interesting because I've been listening and I've been reading a lot of material lately. And this actually sort of reminded me of a couple of things. We got Jung, we got Nietzsche, and I'm going to speak a little bit about some of their theories here. So the ego, which is essentially a theory that Jung came up with, where it sort of functions as, the ego is you, first and foremost, and it functions as the hub of your existence. So let's say, for example, you are playing a video game. I'll explain this in layman's terms. Let's say you're playing a video game, right? And you reach an area where you're able to shop at different towns, or rather go to different levels. That hub area expands the rest of the game for you, and it allows you to travel from that particular location. So that is what the ego essentially is. And in all those shops and all those different stages are different archetypes, right? So with these archetypes, I kind of wanted to talk about Nietzsche's theory of the Ubermensch, which is essentially the Superman. And this is one particular archetype where you ascend to a different state of consciousness. It's not a physical Superman. It's not about getting physically stronger. It's not about actually becoming just more powerful in a physical sense. It's psychological, because if we evolved from apes and then later on we become human beings, then there has to be something past us, correct? Because how do apes view us? If you really stop and think about it, if that's where we originate from. So here, where you're talking about how do you become a better version of yourself, I think you kind of want to focus on that a little bit. How do you become that Ubermensch? How do you become that Superman, right? And this also kind of reminds me, it tailgates with Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, or The Hero of a Thousand Faces, where, you're essentially like a modern day individual or whatever, and there's nothing particularly special about you, but you go and set out on this journey for self-discovery. And through this self-discovery, you end up finding mentors. You end up finding that you might resist the call to action initially, but then later on, through guidance, through hard work and determination, you find that will to become the best version of yourself. So I think that's pretty interesting how you sort of put those two together. And if you want to be a better version of yourself, I would start researching existentialism a lot more, and a little bit of stoicism, maybe just different ways where you can actually start to articulate your thoughts better to other people, because you might be a shy individual, for example, and you don't know how to particularly communicate with others in a very concise manner. Right now, granted, you didn't share too much detail, which I respect, and you're probably searching for like a bare bones version, and you don't want to hear this philosophical nonsense or whatever the case may be. But I find this fascinating, and I feel that it's actually helped me out in my life a lot. And I've been researching and doing a lot of reading, and I feel that it's brought me a catharsis. It's brought me this sense of calm where I'm starting to feel like I understand everything at a higher plane. So going on with your request here, how do you become a better version of yourself, or how do you find meaning in an existence that doesn't seem to hold a place for you? Now, I don't really like that, because us as human beings, we were gifted with consciousness. We were gifted something that the other animals in nature don't have. Now, granted, we are animals just like whatever other animal you would find in nature, but we're different. We're different because of our ability to communicate, and our brains are made in a way that allow us to adapt and evolve on a higher plane of existence that your average animal wouldn't be able to do. For example, if you took a lion and you locked them in like a basement apartment with like no windows, the lion wouldn't know how to get out of that door. The lion wouldn't be able to pick the lock and break out of there and free itself. But it's something that you might be able to do if you were stuck in there long enough and you told yourself, damn, if I don't get out of here, I'm not gonna make it. And you don't really start to realize how bad things get until you hit rock bottom. So based off of your request, it kind of feels like you've either hit rock bottom or you're sort of getting to that point, and when things like depression sort of start to take place, I always like to ask myself, am I really personally depressed, or are just the people around me crappy? Are they making me feel bad? Or maybe I'm not living the type of life that I want to live. So you have to start searching for greater meaning within your own existence. I always emphasize and I always put a focal point on fitness. Once more, if you're out of shape, for example, you didn't give me any details about your fitness, so I don't really know what conditioning you are in. But one thing I've learned over time is that if you physically train your body in a manner that strengthens it, eventually it helps you in other methods. It helps you in other ways because now your mind starts to grow. You're able to articulate yourself better. The brain fog that you would get will start to go away. Or maybe you need to interact with other people. Maybe nobody tells you that they care about you, which is really unfortunate because something as simple as a compliment or just being told that, hey, we matter, that we're relevant, that we have intrinsic value as human beings does tend to help us, and it makes us feel better. It motivates us. It makes us feel like our existence does have some meaning and we can move forward with that alone, So you feel like this doesn't hold a place for you. I think you need to start going on your own hero's journey. I think you need to stare at the mirror one day, like just stare at it for a couple of minutes and really ask yourself, damn, what's going on here? Why can't I seem to get past this threshold? You're sort of at your own like psychological plateau where you feel that things are stagnant and you can't seem to move forward. So you have to start really thinking about different methods of moving forward that'll be beneficial to your life. Maybe you have a particular skill that you haven't utilized to its fullest ability. I can give you a personal example with me. Although this is anecdotal, it is something that has helped me indeed. And outside of the fitness, something else had to give. I felt that I needed to grow more on a psychological level as well. So I started reading more. I started doing more research. I started listening to more content online. And I feel that has helped me as well. Maybe you have people in your life that need you, maybe you're supporting a family. If you have one, I'm not even really sure because once more, it's not something that I really got. You kept this pretty short and to the point, and I don't know if what I'm saying is being much help to you, but once more, I challenge you to start taking your life a little more seriously, and not just in this. You said here that you don't mean to be nihilistic, and that's good because you not wanting to be nihilistic is going to set you on the right path. Now, granted, I will say one thing, and this might be a little controversial. Sometimes you have to go through that negative feeling. Sometimes you have to experience it because everybody will always tell you, oh, just meditate, calm down and you'll be all right. Just breathe. And that doesn't always help. It really doesn't. Because honestly, in this world, survival of the fittest is ultimately what ends up getting you to that upper echelon of your existence. And that's a part of what the Ubermensch is about. Now, it's not just about ascending to a higher plane psychologically, but it's also being able to help those in your community, And who is the Ubermensch, you might ask? The Ubermensch is you. You are the Superman. Because I guarantee you that through all the individuals that you know in your life, somebody looks up to you. You might not know it. They might not articulate that to you, but it doesn't mean that they don't care, because it might be a family member. It might be a friend. It might be a significant other if you have one, and if you are able to not only provide that information and value to their existence, if you're able to do that, it actually helps you as well because you become more fully realized. Don't give up. If you're going through a nihilistic phase, if you're going through a red pill rage or whatever the case may be, then go through it. But once you've exercised that nihilism from your existence, from your very being, from your soul, from whatever energy breathes life into your body, then at that point, you're able to move on. Because once you know what it feels like, you can move forward, right? And I know that I'm kind of like repeating myself here at this point. Now, granted, I will say this. Nietzsche, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. He was born in the 1800s. So the Ubermensch didn't really have much in the way of women. So I don't know if it's like anything with women or whatever the case may be. He was born in a different era. We're in the year 2020. So equality is more important when it comes to that. Don't devalue those around you based off of their sex either. Everybody is their own individual person. And I say that and I stress that because sometimes a lot of people that will send these requests or a lot of people that are going through something, it's typically because of some sort of breakup or a particularly difficult relationship. Maybe you were cheated on and you're starting to feel like nothing matters. Now, you didn't even mention women in this letter of yours, but if that is something that is going on, because once more, I'm dealing with a very limited amount of information, you know, don't let that stuff get to you. You know, you be that Superman in other people's lives, because it's just like Faust. Faust realized that towards the end of his life, he realized that the knowledge that he had, he was extremely intelligent. This dude knew everything. He knew how to summon magic. He knew how to do everything, but he didn't know what made him happy until the very end. Although Mephistopheles was there with him for years, just giving him whatever the hell he wanted, which was insane. None of that mattered to him. None of it mattered, because the only reason he made a deal with Mephistopheles was because he felt that he wouldn't be able to give him that experience that would bring him joy. So I thought that in its own was interesting. He was that confident in signing a deal with the devil, and he ended up finding out what really made him happy. And that's something that the devil couldn't give to him, right? So get in your own head. The ego is you, remember that, and start going into your own hub world and start analyzing these different archetypes of your personality, all these different aspects that make you who you are. Are you a kind person? Are you angry? You know, do you easily get frustrated? Things of that nature. Whatever the case may be, what I suggest ultimately at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and the dust settles, take a good look at yourself in the mirror, because I find that helps. I did that once. I was going through like a bad breakup a while back, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw how pathetic I looked. Once I realized how I looked, I started to make changes, because I was like, damn, am I really gonna allow myself to be viewed by the world in this manner just because I'm going through a little rough patch? We all go through rough patches. Life is hard. Life isn't easy. Life is pain. You get used to it. You pick it up and you throw it on your back and you freaking march up that hill and you keep going. And first and foremost, once more, not first and foremost, I'm sorry. I'm reaching towards the end of this video. But like I said, once more, go through your pain, experience it, see what it is that is making you feel this way. And once you go through that pain and you are able to realize precisely what it is, then release it. Let it go. Don't let it consume your existence anymore. Because that, my friend, is the only way that you can become that Superman. That is the only way that you become the best version of yourself, or at the very least a better version, because there's always room for growth. And that's another thing that we all have to understand. We are never gonna be perfect. We weren't created perfect. We are not gonna be perfect. So let's just be the best version that we possibly can. Anyway, blank. I hope that helped you. I'm gonna stop this video right now. This is the part where I let all of you know that if you felt that you gained any value from this video, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, do the damn thing, help a brother out. I am trying to grow this podcast. I am trying to grow this movement. I want to become the best version of myself. I want to ascend to a higher plane of existence. I want to reach the heights of my dreams, and I want you all there with me. So let's do the best damn job that we can. With that said, I've been NeoStarling. You guys are all awesome, and don't ever, ever let anyone tell you different. Signing off.